Hey, Fabulous Royale. This is me again, and I wanted to talk to you about Jesus and Horus in the Bible because I didn't feel like writing it out. And yeah, so I'm being lazy and I'm making a video instead. I think that people kind of misjudge Jesus a little bit. Um, saying that Jesus like never existed and was a made up character I think is going a little too far. Just because when Constantine made Orthodox Christianity, there were books written that they took, Constantine took from these books of the Bibles that was written. And he chose which books was going to be in the Bible and which books weren't going to be in the Bible. And by what books weren't going to be in the Bible, most books weren't in the Bible. Uh, People think hundreds of books have been left out of the Bible, and any person who was known to have these books were killed. And there have been books that have been recently found where Jesus is talking about something totally different than what he is led to be talking about in the current Bible. He's talking about one saying. There's one saying, I forget which, I think it's the lost book of one of the disciples that I forget whose name it was. But in it, he's saying that Jesus is saying that if heaven was in the sky, then birds would be the first to get into heaven. And if heaven was in the sea, then fish would be before all to get into heaven. But I tell you now, heaven is inside of you. And because of that, you will be the first to get into heaven. And know that finding heaven is knowing yourself. Now, that has been taken out of the Bible. And a lot of things that Jesus has said, including his relationship with Mary Magdalene, has been left out of the Bible. So if Jesus is just an imaginary character of Constantine, why would they write such things just to leave it out of the Bible? And also, everything is archetypes. Every single person, every single character is an archetype. To say that Jesus doesn't exist because he's an archetype kind of goes against all of reality and all of nature. Archetypes replay themselves over and over and over again in history, playing the same story. And I say this because Judas. The reason why, if you read the Lost Book of Judas, in it you would he says that Jesus told him to rat him out to the police basically because it had to be done. And I think the reason why Judas says this is because it's an archetype that has to be done. The Son of God has to be betrayed and given over by a close friend for the archetype of the Savior to be complete. And I, that's why I don't believe that it's a made up story. I believe that it's just a story that's being replayed over and over and over again in history. And because of that, because, fractals exist, which means that the whole is in the one, as above, so below kind of thing, it kind of makes sense that the archetype would be repeated over and over and over again. If it wasn't, it would kind of go against Carl Jung's theory of philosophy. It would go against our current idea of reality, actually. So I believe that Horus, being a story of the Son of God, and Jesus having a similar story as him is evidence that Jesus actually exists. And that's all I wanted to say. I didn't feel like writing that out. I'm all, you can probably tell by my eyes. I'm like, I've had a hard day. So, told you I'd make another video to you. Love your videos, by the way. They're awesome. I need to start making more. I'm trying to stop this video.